Right, first of all, if we look back to the end of last season and your early impressions of the club, you feel we're in a strong position going into pre-season?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the big fact was we finished the season well. I think that was really important from everyone involved, and obviously just for me to get to see everybody, all the players, all the staff, and how we want to operate for next year. And I think, it was probably a good thing not finishing and getting the playoffs, because it means we can have a really strong pre-season, and we know that the first 16 games wasn't acceptable, so we can have a strong finish to the end of the season, but obviously with now a new start, a new clean slate, and everyone can to have a real focus for next year.
Having watched the playoff between Worcester and Bristol, does that set the standard for everyone in the Championship next year?
Oh, most definitely. I thought, both teams were probably about a level above that everybody else could play at, and I think that showed. But obviously they spend the most amount of money in the Championship, which is been well documented. But I think in general, both games were cracking games, Premiership standard games. So we've got to strive to be up there, and obviously Bristol's in that league with London Welsh, Rotherham, London Scottish, that were all obviously in the top four last year. It's going to be a tough league, so that's the challenge, and we should be looking forward to that.
What have been your impressions of the Championship in those few games you got at the end of last year?
It's very competitive. Obviously, the set piece is hugely important. The discipline around the game is important, but also they do play a lot of rugby as well, which is key that we maintain what Yorkshire had the previous two seasons was the ability to play and be as fit as possible and score tries from minute 1 to minute 80 was important. So I think we've got to maintain that, and also bring in some control around our exits and how we play the field position game against the better teams. And
your impressions of the squad from last year? Obviously, we retained the majority of the squads. That gives continuity going into next year.
Yeah, the big reason for me coming a little bit earlier was to make sure that the retention of the players we want to keep. Sadly, we lost Paul Hill, but it's just the nature of it. And also, retain some players and recruit players. So, yeah, the recruitment's gone well in my view. We went out with a mindset of bringing in the right person, not necessarily the biggest or highest profile names, but certainly people that have got the characteristics I believe that we need to go into the Championship and have played in the Championship, some of them, and understood what it is to get promotion, understand what it's like to play and create our own atmosphere, which is really important.
Obviously everyone was bitterly disappointed to miss out on the playoffs, but is the silver lining to that one that we're back in this week and ready to have a full pre-season?
Yeah, 5 weeks off. As I said, I think it wasn't a bad thing not making it, because I think the disappointment of not being in the playoffs for the first time for 3 or 4 years meant that players have to really focus on being in that position next year. We must be in the playoff place, and there's a bit more added edge. The 5 weeks holiday is great. Now it's time to 12-week pre-season. May seem long, but it gives us a chance to get all covers a lot of the bases, fitness, and then that rugby element that we need to be better at to compete with the likes of Bristol.
You won't have known many of the players when you first arrived. Have you been pleased with the standard of the squad that you've found yourself with?
Yeah, no, delighted. I think so a lot of credit must go to previous people in front of me, Jimmy Lowes, Tommy McGee. Obviously Gary Mercer was in a short stint, but generally these two and Dave and Baldwin and people like that have done a good job with the group. I think there's a little bit of the small things really matter, whereas I think sometimes you can put them under the carpet, and I'll probably come in and just reiterated that the contact area, the core skills are really, really important. And even whatever level we're playing at, it doesn't matter. It needs to be brushed up on, and the players have responded well to that in the last 5 games that I was involved in. So, a good group, just need to be better than we were last year.
Looking ahead to next year, we'll go through the new signings for the side. A couple of you've worked with before. Andy Forsyth, you're looking forward to. He obviously was a junior at the club, and he's coming back home.
Yeah, I mean, Andy's he's a genuine 13. He's got pace. He's got a good left foot, left kicking boot, which gives you a variety in your kicking options. But he had limited opportunities at Leicester and at Sale because of the talent that they had at their disposal. So I think for me, it's just a chance for him to come in and really focus on him pushing week in, week out for a starting position. As I said, he's got genuine pace, which is a big asset to us. So we've got to look at that. He's got to compete with the Player of the Year from last year and Pete Lucock, so it's not going to be easy for him. But he's certainly someone that can add that little bit of extra, pace out wide.
Joel Hodgson and Tom Ryder have come from Northampton. They'll had plenty of experience.
Yeah, both Premiership and obviously Glasgow experience. So they played a lot of sort of senior rugby, been around some good environments in Glasgow and Northampton, so in Newcastle. So Joel can play 9 and 10, which is a great asset to have for us, especially with players coming and going. Tom Ryder's a hard-working, honest character, and that's what we want. When it's a tough league, so we need a tough, honest men, and they both fit the bill. That have been here before and understand what's required to push on.
Does Dean Schofield fit into that same mould?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, played alongside Dean, and he's had a long career, and he's not played a lot of rugby at Worcester and at London Welsh, so he's desperate to make sure we can get in that Premiership first and foremost. But he's an old wily dog, and we need a bit of dog in that middle row to help Smithy and Jonesy and Mike Milescroft, to come through, and also add a little bit of composure to us as well. We don't need to panic. But he's been in tough environments the last 2 seasons where they've been fighting for their lives. So, we have got to use some of his knowledge and strengths to make sure that he's competing every week for us as well. He's
joined from the trip from London Welsh with Seb Stegman. He's an exciting talent and knows the Championship well as well.
Yeah, he is, and I like Seb. Obviously, when I'm a previous employee at Sale, we always looked at him. He was a handful in attack. He's a big, strong ball carrier. So he's someone that, as you said, understands the Championship. But ultimately, I want him to be, someone that has a free rein and, brings in his running game, because he is a handful, and we've got to make sure we get the best out of him. But, not try and look too much back on their previous experience, because Welsh, didn't win a game, so we can't look too far back. We've got to try and look at the here and now and make sure that we get the best out of him.
Someone coming from a winning environment is Rob O'Donnell from Worcester. You know him from his Sale days.
Yeah, Rob obviously again played in the side that went down, but played very well in the side that went down around the scrum. So he's a big man. He's a natural scrummer, natural ball carrier. So we've got to make sure that he comes in, and with losing Hilliard last year, and Rob's coming in with a lot of incentives as well. So he's a northern lad. So we've got to make sure we try and make sure that everyone's proud of that northern heritage, and he can use his knowledge, but ultimately buy into everything that we are as well. All the new players must buy into what we are and make sure that they earn their stripes here as well.
How excited are you seeing Andy Saul involved? He's a player with a great deal of potential still, even though of the amount of experience he's had. Yeah,
he's probably the one player that I would say is right up there. I think he was outstanding at Sarries. He got his Saxon's cap off the back of it, and he's went to Newcastle, and he's not come through just because of the captain of their side. And he's a bit frustrated on certain occasions, but he's a true leader. He's a true warrior in a lot of ways, and that's someone we're going to need. He's someone that Chrissy Walker can learn a lot from as well, and that's we need players that are going to give as much as take. Yes, we all want to be in the Premiership, but they've got to give something back, and I see him as a true leader in some ways in that front as well.
A young prospect in Tom Casson, who's equally got a lot of experience in the Premiership with Quins.
Yeah, played a long time. He's been in around 80 odd games at Quins, and he's someone that can add experience. But again, he's got a fight with Fitzy. So we're making that midfield area very competitive, and their experience coming into here is important for us. But ultimately, we want their experience to show on the pitch as much as just in training. They've got to understand what they're coming into, and the Championship's a different animal because of you don't get the same attendance, you don't have the same hype around it, so we have to create our own energy and hype around our own performances. So make everyone aware of that, and then obviously let's get started in September.
And finally, obviously someone we spoke about previously, Kevin Sinfield switching codes and coming to Yorkshire Carnegie. Excitement all around for that.
Oh, it's huge. Whether you're a rugby league fan or not, from a union's perspective, Kevin's a legend of the game. He's someone that is hugely respected because of his manner, because he conducts himself, how he plays. He's a natural goal kicker as well, which is a big asset. And obviously he's going to play a different code now. We're under no illusions how tough that's going to be. Look how long it's taken everybody to come across and adapt to the game. So he's got his Rhino season to finish off, which has been an outstanding career. And hopefully we can continue that and integrate him in the right way and as quickly as possible and fill him in a 10 or a 12 slot. But he's a massive asset to us, and I think speaking to him, he wants to do well. So I'm well aware that he's desperate to do well. He's great for us and take some pressure off him as well. I don't think he has to prove it all on day one. We've just got to support him as much as possible.
As well as him learning the game, do you think he'll have a role to play with our younger players, particularly talking about work environment and especially the goal kicking with people like Harry Leonard and helping those guys?
Yeah, he's got an abundance of things he could give to us. It's his professionalism, his role model, his goal kicking, his desire to come over to a new code at the age he's at and still want to do well. He'll want to compete in the conditioning. He'll want to compete in the contact. So, he's great for us he's a great acquisition for us. There's no question. He's huge for the club, but we've just got to make sure that we all live up to the same standards that Kev has set himself over the last 15 years playing rugby league.
So that's all 9 new signings. Are you happy with the recruitment and how you've been able to strengthen your squad?
Yeah, it's gone really well. But the proof will be in the pudding in 11 months' time. We've got to get everybody connected and everyone committed to the same cause, which is ultimately driven through myself. All the staff have to be on the same page. We have to be watertight in everything we do, and we have to be very honest with each other and set our own standards and make sure we all stick to them. It's a massive year for everyone at Yorkshire. Irrelevant of all the chat that goes around of what they're going to do with the leagues, it's irrelevant. We've got to really stick together and try and be in that position next May that we can fight for playoffs and fight for finals and fight for promotion. That's what we want.
And looking to the Championship, obviously Bristol's still there. They'll be smarting from their defeat, and London Welsh come down with their parachute players. Presumably they're going to be the top 2 everyone's chasing. Yeah,
without a doubt. They are good sides. They're exceptional talent, and we've got to make sure that we understand that, along with the Rotherham, London Scottish, the Jersey, Cornish Pirates, and ourselves. There's still going to be 4 or 5. Nottingham, there's still going to be 4 or 5 that are pushing, at the back door there to get in. So we've got to earn the right to be there, which starts, tomorrow when we get into pre-season, and then obviously that first week in September is huge for us.
For you personally, are you excited about the new season? Your first full season. We've obviously got that chance last year, but this is put your mark on this team.
Yeah, most definitely. That's the reason I've moved. The reason I've come here is to make sure that we all try and succeed. We all do it together. Players, staff, the club itself, the new board that's put in place. We all do it together, and we all try and succeed. We'll have, as I say, we'll have days where we'll lose. There's no question. There's nobody goes through unbeaten. So we've got to accept that's going to happen, and there'll be reasons for it along the way. But I'm buzzing. I'm glad to be back at work and looking forward to tomorrow, getting the players back in, seeing what kind of shape they're in, and also just getting cracking with the season. It's a great challenge for me personally. It's a great chance for everyone involved, and we'll get the rewards if we all do the same stuff.
It looks like it's going to be an exciting Championship season, team strengthening, and the start of the year is only the Championship, is only club rugby involved with the World Cup being on, so it could be an exciting way to kick off the season.
Yeah, it could be. As you say, the World Cup's and Premiership's delayed, so it'll be great for us just to get back playing and try and encourage as many people to come and watch. Any local people in Yorkshire to come and watch and bring their kids along, and everybody be involved in it. And we have to try and build the club in every way we can. Players, staff, board members, current people that come along and watch, and the support from last year was great at the end. We need to bring in 3,000 or 4,000 more people, and we all have a role to do in that.
When you consider last year, everything that went on with obviously the coach side of things, but new owners, new name, and everything else, probably to be expected it was going to be a transition year, but everything seems to be well bedded down now for the new campaign.
Yeah, as you say, that transition period for everyone, and I think we can't look back too much. We've got to try and look forward a little bit more. Look forward to the new challenge, look forward to the new season, look forward to bringing in new people to the club, and ultimately not look back too much. Last year was last year. We'll be remembered for our next game, not our last game. So we've got to look at that every single week and try and encourage and play a brand of rugby that's enjoyable for people to watch, but also players that want to show that they care for whatever jersey they pull on, and that obviously a Yorkshire Carnegie jersey is what they pull on. They've got to make sure they do that, with pride, and make sure that they're proud of their own performance.
And looking to the future, we talked about new signings, but you'll also have a key role for the academy products coming through the ranks as well. You want them to show what they can do.
Yeah, it's a well-run academy. We've got some good players, obviously 3 or 4 in the under-20s at the moment. And obviously 19s, there's 2 or 3 in there. So we've got to maintain the pathway through to being a Premiership player primarily, Oh, we will lose players. That's just the nature of it. If we don't get into that top end competition, we're going to lose our best players. And you know, we've lost Hilly. There's Boise. There's Jack Walker. There's Taylor Prell. There's these people that are in that and around that age group mix. We've got to keep them here. We've got to make them really proud to play for Yorkshire, and we've got to make sure that everything we do as an establishment allows them that, which is primarily getting in the Premiership.